I have never been that scared in my life. I have used the last 2 years in preparing for this day, but in no way did I feel ready. In no way did I feel ready for the journey of a lifetime. My first speech is going to be about a day that forever changed everything, and a day that made me who I am. It's going to be about how I used the momentum of that day to challenge myself on a daily basis. And then it's going to be about where I am today because of that decision. The decision of becoming an exchange student in America. It was September of 2009. I had been on an airplane for 13 hours. I was tired, scared, hungry, exhausted. I was every emotion in the book. I was simply a nervous wreck, but it was time to meet what was going to be my family for the next 10 months. I remember spotting them in the airport before they noticed me. I remember my heart jumping into my throat and thinking how badly I wanted to get back on that plane and just not go on this crazy adventure of being all alone in a foreign country for a whole year. But obviously that was not a choice. Because there they were, 4 strangers that I came to know very well over the next 10 months. 4 people that are far from strangers today. Today I actually call them my family. And that's not because they were randomly chosen to be so, it's because they truly are. That day in Dubuque Airport marked a day in my life where everything changed. I got to be part of a real American family. I got to take part of the American culture and experience of going to high school, of American holidays such as Thanksgiving. I got to see how Amish people live. I got to experience the dangerous and scary parts of downtown New York because I got lost. And I got to meet a person that I call my husband today. Which, I gotta be honest, maybe getting lost in downtown New York was a bit more scary than getting off the airplane. But that's another story. Despite getting lost in New York, my time in America has been an experience that I would never been one to be without. It has broadened my horizon and has given me the strength to push myself further and further. And after all, if I can go abroad to a different country all alone, I can do anything, right? That's at least what I tell myself every time I'm in doubt. And that's what I told myself back in 2016 when I had to enroll at Southwest Tech, because boy was I in doubt. School has never ever been my thing. In fact, in the 14 years of schooling that I took in Denmark, I had convinced myself that I was stupid. I had convinced myself that there were 2 categories. There were the good students and the bad students, and I belonged to the later group. That assumption has obviously created great boundaries in my life and at times taken a huge toll on me. Luckily, I'm slowly starting to gain some confidence, and I'm starting to realize how wrong that is. There are 2 groups, perhaps even more, but they're not the good students and they're not the bad students. They're the students that try and the ones that don't. I no longer believe that some people are born more intelligent than others. I believe that whatever you set your mind to, you can achieve. And Southwest Tech has become an excellent proof of how very true that is. When I enrolled at Southwest Tech, I decided that I no longer wanted to be part of the group of students that don't try. I decided that I was going to do my best. I was going to change groups. And I'm seeing a huge change because of that decision. I went from being a student with average, perhaps even lower than average grades, to excellent grades. I went from being a student who didn't participate in class, who didn't do homework, to a student who put my schooling ahead of everything else. I went from being a student who don't try to a student who try. Now, that decision to change my whole view of learning and who I am originated because of that day in Dubuque, when I decided to greet my family instead of getting back on that plane. I know that I said earlier that it wasn't an option to get back on the plane, but it actually was. Because my mom had told me that all she wanted was for me to get on the plane, and then once it landed in America, for me to get back on, or get off of it. And if at that time I said to myself, I can't do it, I don't want to, it's just not happening, then she was okay if I came back home immediately. So it was an option. But obviously, I didn't do that, and I'm here today. And every day of my life, I decide to get off that plane. And every day of my life, I decide to take uncomfortable decisions and to push myself. And I know that had I turned around that day, I wouldn't be where I am, and I certainly wouldn't be going where I plan to go with my life. On September 4th, 2009, I said goodbye to comfort and familiar faces, and I said hello to a new world, a world that I can call my home today. I have pledged to myself to keep pushing myself and to keep getting off that plane. And I hope that everyone who's enrolled in this class and at Southwest Tech realizes how big of a deal that is. I hope that you realize that when you enrolled, you pushed yourself and you got off your plane. And I truly believe that this is only the beginning for all of us. This marks the end of my speech. I hope you enjoyed it. I look very much forward to hearing your speeches, both in the first one and the one to follow. And till next speech, goodbye.